There's this trending post from the president of Chicago. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War, but not the Department of Defense. Now, we've just seen some clips from Chicago, allegedly of the ICE agents entering Chicago. Let's first look at this one.
What is going on? What is going on, baby? They is out here. What's the ICE? Oh, I'm not. It sure lives. What he ICE? He ain't ICE. All right then. All right then. All right then. Yeah. What's that going on in Maywood? Okay.
Okay, that's the clip from Chicago down there showing that the ICE agents are already in town. But again, there is this clip showing that the mayor and the governor, they are building walls around the courts so that they don't allow the ICE to pick up the illegal aliens to be taken away. Look at this.
Chicago's building a wall. Actually, lots of little walls. Pritzker's putting up fences around courthouses and City Hall. Why? To stop Trump from sending the Guard and ICE in. Pritzker didn't want a wall to protect the country, or to protect the country from illegals. He's putting up a wall to protect the illegals and criminals from Trump. ICE is expected to launch a major operation in just a matter of hours, and the National Guard could be sent in at any second. The city wants to help, but a handful of people are ready for battle.
No more deportation. We shall not be moved. No more deportation. We shall not be moved. Like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved.
That'll do it. Chicago's got at least 150,000 illegals. Homan better clear his calendar.
Okay, after that clip, then here we have the governor of Chicago being asked some questions by MSNBC JEN. Let's listen to this.
This afternoon, I sat down with Illinois Governor JB Pritzker to talk about what is happening on the ground, what he's seeing, what he knows, what tools he has to fight back, and what Trump's ultimate goal is. Governor Pritzker, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. I really appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
So as we sit here today, there are visible preparations in Chicago, including fencing near the downtown buildings and Homeland Security vehicles set up. One of the challenges you've talked about is the lack of communication from the president and from the White House about what exactly they're preparing. Have you heard anything more directly from them?
No, which is shocking, really. The federal government not communicating with state government about what is supposed to be a law enforcement action by them. That's unheard of, really. And I've been governor since the Trump first term and through the Biden term and now in this term. And I've never seen anything like this. And frankly, the former governors that I've talked to, Republicans and Democrats in Illinois have said they haven't seen anything like this either. So it's a kind of a frightening development in the history of the country that you have a federal government not communicating with state government about something like this.
As much as they're saying.
But I do remember President Trump called you that we need to talk. Pritzker, call me, pick your phone and call me. Let's talk about this. Tell me exactly what's going on what's going on the ground so that we can forge a solution when we are together. Governor Pritzker replied by saying, no, I will not call you Trump. I will not call you because what you are doing is against the law. Yes, we know it's against the law. But Trump promised to keep the people of this country safe. Why don't you talk to him? Because if you say, me, I'm a governor, the law mandates, the law gives me powers. Yes, we know that. But again, there is a president who's sworn in to protect his people. Not the people of DC only, not the people of New York only, but all the people, all the Americans, including the people living in Chicago. So if you don't want to speak to the gentleman who is in power because of your reasons, and you are just protecting illegals, just imagine the mayor the governor, they're building walls to protect illegal aliens, to protect the alleged criminals. And they're not building walls to protect the Americans. What's going on? Listen.
Things on television, which is what people are hearing. There's been reports that they have been in touch at some level with local police or local law enforcement. What are you preparing for in terms of the scope of this?
Well, we did get one call finally. This is after weeks of Donald Trump threatening and saying he's sending troops in and not telling us exactly what their plan is. But we got one call from this fellow, Gregory Bovino, who's a leader at Customs and Border Patrol and ICE. And he's the one who caused a lot of the mayhem in Los Angeles. He is apparently leading the effort to come into Chicago. And he called our state police and let us know, let our state police director know only that they are coming and that they intend to be in place by the end of this week. And that's it. They didn't tell us how many. They didn't tell us what actions they're going to take. They didn't tell us what neighborhoods. Remember, we have local law enforcement here who are responsible for keeping the peace, making sure that we're operating at a appropriate level to keep crime down, and to have people roaming the streets, wearing uniforms, and people off the streets, wearing masks and driving their military-like vehicles and tossing people in. And that's incredibly disruptive. Yeah. And if they would just let us know, Chicago police, Illinois State Police, where they're going, what time they're going. I mean, we are obligated not to stand in the way, also not to assist, but we also can be of assistance to the residents by keeping them safe while these operations are going on. And again, no communication at all, and especially, of course, on the subject of whether they're going to send National Guard from another state or from my state into neighborhoods in Chicago.
There's also what seems one of the challenges also seems like there's multiple operations they seem to be preparing, at least from what they're saying publicly. There's also been reporting that the Defense Department has approved using a nearby naval base north of the city as a staging area for ICE. So that is not separate. It's all connected, and possibly to have that as a place where federal troops are. Do you have any sense even of the scope of the ICE operation that they're planning?
Not from ICE. We're getting, again, it's all secondhand, third hand. There are a lot of patriotic Americans who work in the administration or work at the departments or in the military who have let us know things without having permission to do so. And so I would call some of that rumor, but well-sourced rumors. We also know because Great Lakes Naval Base, which is where they're stationing themselves, is in North Chicago, and so the North Chicago local police and local elected officials have at least some information. So, look, I don't have a lot to share with the public. Whatever I have heard, I have shared with the public, because I think everybody should know, despite the fact the federal government would like them not to know, apparently. So we think there are about 300 agents that may be at Great Lakes and preparing to invade the communities around Chicago, like Little Village, like Pilsen, perhaps beginning early morning tomorrow.
Now I can see US is fighting US, just in the name of protecting people, just in the name of bring back sanity to our neighborhoods. But it's like there's a group fighting another group. And instead of sitting together, decide on the right course to fight the common problem, some people think they are bigger than others. Some people think they can't associate with the others. I don't know why. Because just listen, the governor is telling us he was not informed that ICE is going to come in, that the National Guard is coming in. But he has been talking about it for almost 2 months, for almost a month, right? And he got rumors that ICE might come in or is coming in, all right? And the National Guard might come in or is coming in. You got rumors. And instead of picking up your phone and talk to the president himself that, Mr. President, see, look here, I'm getting this rumor. How true is it? Confirm to me. Are you doing this out of my knowledge? Why are you doing it? Why can't we sit down and plan on what is going to be done? But also you are just seated there. You don't want to talk to the man, but you know there is a real problem down there in Chicago. People want safety, and you are not doing your job, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Governor. May I think the right thing to do is to find a common ground, all right? Not to go against one another, because we are all wishing well for this country. We all wish well for our people. So if you were elected by the people, and the president was elected by the people, and we are working for those people, what are the people saying? All right? Before putting up our diversions, because we want to make a point, because we want some people who are supporting us, but there is a problem. You can't tell me that 50 people were shot over the weekend and 7 dead as a result of being shot. And you are saying I'm not allowing the National Guard in. I'm not allowing the ICE to come in to find where the root cause. Who are these criminals that are causing mayhem? Who are these criminals that are beating up people? Who are these criminals that are hijacking people's cars? Who are these people that are breaking into people's houses? Who are these people that are attacking the citizens of this country? Because we have to first know those people. How will we know them? We have to first get out all the bad elements, get arrested, and be interrogated. That's what we must do. But Mr. Mayor, if you are just protecting those people, are you trying to mean that you are part of them? You want to see the people of Chicago being attacked? You want to see the people of Chicago being really beaten up, killed, shot? That's what is your wish? I don't think you like that. But because you are a Democrat and Trump is a Republican, I see you don't want Trump to win here. You want to stay the winner. Yes, you have to be the winner. But there is a win-win situation where we must all of us win for the betterment of our people.
Feels a lot to me like the playbook they followed in LA, where they are upping or have plans seemingly to up their ICE operations, go into communities, go after and arrest people without criminal records, prompt people to protest, which is something we saw in LA, and then claim it is some sort of security threat that prompts military being in the streets. Do you see it as a playbook they're following? Is that what you're preparing for here?
It's, I believe, a nefarious plan. It's one that's been repeated over and over again by, well, tyrannical dictatorships across history, where you try to incite local population into some mayhem by sending in police or other disruptors, and then claim that there's too much mayhem on the ground, and therefore there must be troops that are sent in, and that's how you basically convert a democracy into something other than that. And so that is what really worries me here. And look, we've already seen it. LA, they did do it in LA exactly that way, but that wasn't new to anybody, at least, again, if you look throughout history. And of course, Washington, D.C., where I know the president and Congress has control of the federal district, so they can do whatever they want, but it is illegal. What they're suggesting that they're going to do is illegal. And we're ready to go to court when they kind of trip the wire, so to speak. And there's been an incident that allows us to do that as soon as we can. And so that's all we have, though. Remember, if the courts don't rule, in favor of posse comitatus, that's an act that prevents, supposedly, the federal government from sending troops into a state to do law enforcement. If they don't enforce that or understand that what Trump is doing is unconstitutional, then we're then at the whims of a fighting force that they're planning to send here. Remember, the people that they're talking about sending in, these military troops, are trained for war. They're not trained for, crowd control. They're not trained to fight crime. They're not trained to arrest people the way that local police are, that local and civilian law enforcement are trained to do those things. And so that's why I've said, look, if Donald Trump wants to help us as we're fighting crime, by the way, we've done a terrific job on the ground here. The last 4 years, we've seen homicides drop in half. We've seen virtually every measure of violent crime drop by double digits. If they want to help us to continue that trend, why not help us with providing ATF, right? The people who can help us interdict firearms that are coming from every state around us has weak or no limitations on firearms. And indeed, more than half of the guns that are used in the state of Illinois come from states around us, not from our state. So why don't you help us with ATF agents who already work with us on the ground, but we could use more. FBI, DEA, we're fighting gangs, we're fighting drugs. That happens in every major city. If you want to help us fight crime, send us civilian law enforcement.
Okay, I do understand you, Mr. Governor. The National Guard is not mandated to do civilian work, to enforce law and order. True, I agree with you. It was trained for war. It was trained to kill. It was trained to attack. All right? We need to use our police. But if our police is not doing the work, or it has really failed to give us results, okay? During the war, there are people being killed. The civilians are being killed, all right? There are people protected during the war, okay? And now in Chicago, the police, maybe it has failed to do the work of protecting the people from criminals, okay? Now, if the police fails, the National Guard must come in to protect, all right? To enforce, to put some extra force. That's the use of the National Guard, okay? It's against the law to just be brought in. But if Trump was bringing the National Guard for his own benefit as a person, as an individual, I would be against that. But if Trump is bringing the National Guard to protect the Americans, what's the problem with that? Because some few are safe. They think everyone is safe. If for you, you feel you're safe, okay, let others who are not safe be protected. Let others who are not safe be rescued. That's the use of the National Guard, to protect this country. And if anything glooms inside the country, they must come up and fight for it, fight it. Mr. Governor, we want those who are trained to come and really associate with the civilian because they are trained to do so. Yeah, but who are those killing people? Who are those shooting at our people? Are those civilians or are gang members? Because we need to find out who are these people shooting the Americans, who are these people shooting our people. Because it's not an isolated case that only one person with a gun went and shot, bro. You find it's a gang of people attacking the citizens and they shoot them down. So what the president can do, if there is mayhem in the city, if there is disorder in the city, who will bring that order back? If the governor, mayor, you have failed to bring back order, and you don't want the National Guard to come in to bring back order, because it's against the law. Yes, we know it's against the law. But if we just say it's against the law, then we leave the Americans to be shot. We leave the people of Chicago be killed. We leave the people of Chicago be attacked. We leave the people of Chicago be beaten. We need the phones of the people of Chicago being snatched. We need the houses of people of Chicago being broken into. We just wait there, cross our hands, and just look on as the people who elected for you in that office being killed, being attacked, being mugged, their cars being hijacked. We just wait there, being shot as we look on. Yet we have the government. Yet we pay tax. We facilitate the National Guard to guard us, protect us. If police has failed, let the National Guard come in, bring back the situation to order, then our local police be given back their money to do when the National Guard has cleared everything for them to work in a peaceful way. Because even we love these policemen. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are our mothers, they are our fathers. Do you want them to be killed like that? No. Let's first clean up everything that is bad in Chicago, then we'll leave them to do their job. That's what I think.
Ways to fight crime. I mean, the statistic I've seen, and you can check me because you're the governor, is that 84% of homicides in Chicago involve a firearm, which shouldn't be surprising to anyone. As you mentioned, there's an influx of guns that come over from the state of Indiana, where the gun laws are not as strong as they are in the state of Illinois. So there are things that can be done if you were actually trying to address crime. I want to just go back to something you said about the National Guard, because this is something that other leaders have mentioned as a big challenge. I mean, the National Guard are not trained. They're trained to be in war zones. They're not trained to be fighting crime or patrolling cities or communities. You've said that the Philadelphia DA has also said that if they come in and they violate the law, that they will be prosecuted or you will go after them. What does that look like? How do you even enforce that? Is that local police or local law enforcement tracking what the National Guard is doing, or what do you envision there?
Well, let's start with, I'm talking about the state or the city officials or law enforcement, we can't track what every one of the ICE officials and officers are doing on the ground. So we've asked the public. I've been very explicit about this. People in neighborhoods, they don't want these ICE officials and they don't want troops on the ground. And so what we've asked is that people pull out their iPhone or their Android phone and film what they're seeing. Take a video of everything that you see so that we can know if, in fact, laws are being broken by these federal officials coming into our state. They're not allowed to do certain things. They're not allowed, for example, with their administrative warrants, to break down a door to find somebody. They're just not. An administrative warrant doesn't give you that ability. If you want to go get a judicial warrant, which they can't because they don't have enough evidence that will allow a judge to make that determination for most of these situations, then we would abide by a judicial warrant. At least a court will have heard it. There will have been lawyers involved in helping to make the decision. But no, this is just an administrative warrant written up by essentially a police officer who decided, an ICE officer who's decided, I want to go after that house or that person or that family, and they get to just write it themselves with no oversight. So this is the challenge, and I think we need the public to be involved in monitoring that, and we're making sure that we're also asking the public, because they know they're going to protest. We're asking them to be peaceful in that protest, to make sure that they're doing. They're making their voices heard. They're using their megaphones and microphones, but that they stay out of the way of these ICE officials.
Now, I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, Mr. Governor. Let everyone pick his iPhone. Let everyone pick his cell phone, and you record whatever's going on. Okay, if these ICE people, if these National Guard people break the law, let them be persecuted. Yes, because they are not coming in Chicago to break the law. No, they are coming to protect. They are coming to bring back the sanity, to bring safety to this great city. That's their law, not to cause mayhem, not to shoot, not to kill, not to break into people's homes. Because if we are fighting those who are breaking into people's homes and then you come and break into people's homes, that's a different case, bro. So what I think, Mayor, it would have been better, okay, we just look where the deadly places are, like in the woods. Let all focus there. You direct them. You are coming in, but we have a deadly place here, a deadly neighborhood. You help us there. As you watch on other places, when they run from there, where are they going? And then you track down those bad people, because we know they are there. We know they are there. We need this country to be enjoyable. We don't need people to lose their lives just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Because in the name of protecting the law, that's against the law. But it's against the law for the National Guard to come in, for ICE to come in. But there are people being killed. So what's against the law? Killing is not against the law. That people can be shot and get killed. Then we leave it like that. We investigate. We get reports. But people were killed and were buried. But if we say, let's protect this country, let's prevent crime. You don't want prevent. We'll rather have crime, because crime doesn't break the law. But the National Guard is coming in to break the law.
In terms of the National Guard, I mean, you've said that you don't have the authority to override federal orders as it relates to the National Guard from your state. It's possible, and there have been reports that there could be a consideration of calling up National Guard from Texas, say, or other states, red states that might be more inclined to listen to President Trump, to put it diplomatically. Is that something where you would have any other legal authority or additional ability or capacity to take action to prevent those National Guard from other states from coming, or does it apply in the same way?
Unfortunately, any National Guard from any state that is federalized now becomes like a military troop. They are not allowed to do law enforcement. They can come into the city, but they are restricted essentially to federal buildings, protecting federal buildings. If that's what they intend to do, that is legal. But they're not allowed to simply come into the neighborhoods and start, imposing their will. There are laws against this. There is, in fact, unless there's some sort of insurrection, which there is clearly not, or an attack on the United States coming from a city, then these troops are not allowed to do anything other than protect those federal buildings. But he's looking for an excuse. And the excuse that Donald Trump is looking for is, well, there have been protesters who are interfering with the execution of the ICE officers' duties. And that there may be somebody who shoves somebody or, is put in a situation where it looks like they're committing some sort of assault. And then they'll point at that. Donald Trump will point at that and say, well, clearly we need to protect the ICE officers, so we're going to have to use federal force. It's a pretense. We know what it's about, and it has nothing to do with fighting crime. And it has, honestly, sending National Guard in has nothing to do with immigration either. What it has to do with is he's trying to set the stage for interference in the elections in 2026 and in 2028.
I know you've made that point before, and that made my ears perk up, and it should be alarming to anyone. What does that look like? Because it sounds like you're saying there's going to be military in the streets that are going to prevent people from participating in the elections. Is that it, or it's something else?
It also could be claiming that there's something wrong with the election results or the counting of ballots, so they're going to take control of the ballot boxes. And why do I say this? I mean, why do I suspect that that's in fact what they're doing? Well, look at the history here. Donald Trump encouraged people to be part of a Stop the Steal movement in 2020. When he lost the election, he then went out and fomented engagement in this activity to deny the election, and then fomented the January 6th protesters to do what they did, which is attack the Capitol. And then he pardoned them after they were found to have committed criminal acts. And then let's fast forward to today's back in office, and he's talking about maybe people would like a dictatorship. He said that publicly. I mean, that's out loud. You can go look at it. What about his entreaty that, he believes he's just making things up in his head, that there is fraud going on that has helped to elect people to office. They just recently asked for all of the records of people who voted in Illinois. They want all of the records. Imagine all your private information if you were an Illinois resident who is registered to vote. And they're going to find your home address, perhaps your phone number, your registration, or how you voted last time. This is all what's being requested by the Department of Justice. Think about all those things together. What is the purpose of all of that, if not to focus on interfering with the 2026 elections, which clearly he knows he's going to lose? How do we know that? Because now he's asking states to do a mid-decade redistricting. He went to Texas to try to get them to do it. They've now done it. Now he's going to Missouri and Indiana and other states to get them to do it. And, we have to stand up and make sure that we're focusing on what the real aims are, and that is to thwart the elections, to give him more power.
Okay, Mr. Governor Pritzker, you have a point, and a valid point. If you think Donald Trump is not after fighting crimes, he's not after criminals, he's after rigging the 2026 election. That's why he is bringing in the National Guard to help him get to his agenda. Now I want to know, who is shooting people? Who is attacking people? Who is beating up people? Governor. Who are these people hijacking people's cars? Who are these people breaking into people's homes? Who are those? I just want to be cleared to understand who are them. You try to mean that those who shot 50 people over the weekend, injured them, 7 killed, dead. You're trying to mean that those were Trump men? Trump is the one who sent those people to shoot down the Chicago, Illinois people, and he killed 7, 50 injured. Those killers, those shooters were sent in by Trump so that he can get the ground to stand on, to bring in the National Guard, to bring in the ICE. I think, Mr. Governor, you are losing the point. You are trying to get a strong ground, even you, to stand on, so that the people of Chicago stand against their own National Guard, to stand against their own security, to stand against their own ICE. You want them to rise up to protest, which is good, right? But what's the cause? Why the National Guard? Why ICE is being brought in? Why are they coming in? Is there crimes? Are there people being shot? Yes. Are there people being mugged? Yes. Are there people being attacked? Yes. Are there cars being hijacked? Yes. So why are you not talking about that? That we need to stop this. How can we stop this? I think this is where the problem is. But just formulating, cooking up grounds that to show people really exactly that Trump is a dictator. You see how dictators do their job? Yes, dictators behave like that around the world. But there must be something that really force those dictators to act, to impose on us their dictatorial rules. If we don't give them a chance, they will never survive. How are we giving them a chance? By allowing bad people on our streets, by not preventing criminals, by not arresting criminals, by not really trying to protect our communities, our streets. And now people are being killed. And we are not talking about that. No, we are now talking about 2026, that Trump wants to rig elections. That's why he is bringing National Guard. Yet we know the real problem that is on ground. governor. You know that. Just focus. Just visit your heart and ask yourself, but is there people being killed? Yes. Is this not enough reason for the National Guard to come in? No. Now what can be done? Call the president. President, you are sending the National Guard, but I think this will work. Let's first do this in the meantime and see. But you are not willing to call the gentleman. You are not willing to call Trump. You just want to humiliate Trump, and Trump wants to humiliate you, because since Democrats are fighting me, now I will humiliate them, that I'm the boss, I'm the commander-in-chief. Trump will not care, because he's doing what he was voted to do, protect the people of this country. That's what he is doing. Everything he's doing is against the law, but he is doing it in the name of protecting the people of U.S.
Never held back in speaking out against Trump and calling out what he's trying to do. There are also limitations even within our court system, because even as it relates to the actions of the National Guard, I mean, if you look at California, it's taken months and they're still in sort of the status quo. If they try to keep military on the streets, if they try to use it to prevent people from participating in the process, what are the options at your disposal as governor to do beyond working through the court system?
On following the law, and we do rely upon the court system. California is a good example. There was a case that was just decided that, in fact, disallows, called illegal and unconstitutional, what Donald Trump did with National Guard in California. That should hold for Illinois also. Now, again, the Supreme Court has said that, one jurisdiction that makes a decision doesn't have any holding or effect on another until it's decided there. So we'll have to go get that decision here. But it's clear that, anybody looking at the law, looking at the Constitution, would find it unconstitutional.
Have you been in touch? I know you talked to Governor Newsom and other governors. He's been through this before, a version of this. Have you asked him what he would have done differently?
My team has been in direct contact with our attorney generals, talked to their attorney general. I haven't spoken with Gavin about this, but we have a good relationship. And the truth is that we've seen what their playbook was, that is to fight Donald Trump in California, to push back, and we know what that is. We think we have the same options and maybe a few others. But it is important that the American public understands what's going on here writ large. This is a nefarious endeavor that he's going into blue states, blue cities. You don't see any activity in a Republican state or a Republican city. And yet, when he says it's all about crime, those Republican states have higher crime rates. Those Republican cities have higher crime rates. So, this isn't about that. We should know that, and the public should know that. And I think slowly but surely, elected officials, Democrats, starting with Democrats, and the public are starting to see that they're going to have to stand up and speak out and push back.
Governor Pritzker, I know you have a lot going on in your state right now. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me.
Great to see you.
Okay, thank you, Governor Pritzker, and thank you, MSNBC. Thank you for this great interview. But Governor, I think we need to stop that mentality of fighting Democrats fighting Republicans. I think it's not healthy for the nation, for the common good of our people, for the common good of Americans, for the common good of taxpayers, for the common good of the people of this country. I think it's not healthy. You are giving an example how California fought against Donald J. Trump. And you are going to use the same playbook to fight Donald J. Trump. But where are the people gaining from? Will that help us to protect our people from criminals? Will that help us to prevent crimes in our societies? Or it will just give the criminals more powers that you see? We are being protected by the mayor, we're being protected by the governor, so we can do whatever we want to do. Because when the National Guard is prepared to come in, when ICE is planning to come in, they'll fight it and they will stay here, big people. We need a solution, and we need to reach on a common ground. Really, what should be done to prevent the crime rate being hyped? Because why do we have crimes? We need to address and get the solutions for this to be prevented, to be minimized. Okay, the crime rate is going down in Chicago, but just in one weekend, on one day, 50 people were shot. Who wants to see that? Who wants to hear that? Because there is no one safe here. Because among those 50 who were shot, the 7 who died on the spot, meaning they are also human beings. One day you can be one of them. You get shot, you get killed. So if we don't prevent this, if we don't fight this, who will do it for us? We need to look there and really protect this nation. Okay, tell me what you think about the deployment of ICE in Chicago, about the deployment of the National Guard in Chicago, about what Governor Pritzker says, about what the mayor says, about what everybody is saying. Some people who live in Chicago say, we want the National Guard because we are bad love. Some people say we don't want it. Different reasons. So let's go down in the comment section. Tell me what you think, what must be done, what's really good, what's appropriate for the goodness of all of us. Collectively, what's best that can be done for all of us, really, because we want to be in a safer environment. That's really the cardinal law. We have to feel safe where we live. That's the cardinal law. Others are just secondary. So don't forget, give thumbs out the video, do it for us, and don't forget to subscribe because we want to go for 100 subscribers. That's our milestone right now. Let's push to 100 subscribers. I thank you. God bless you.